Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? Great? This is a, who said hot? It's cool in, it's cool in here. It's hot out there. Another beautiful day in Cupertino. This is the biggest crowd we've had for CREST Awards. Congratulations to all of you for coming and for the acknowledgement that you're giving to the CREST Award winners tonight. It's my pleasure to give the evening a start and to explain kind of the process this evening. First of all, the award winners will be perpetually enshrined on this plaque right here, which hangs in the lobby of the Quinlan Center. And as this one fills up, then each year we'll add, every 6 or 7 years, we add a new plaque. Their names are already listed for 1997, so that's one thing that will happen. The second thing is that each recipient will receive a jade crystal with the city logo and their name engraved on it that will set in a prominent place, hopefully in their home. And I'm looking at Jean Ahern's here, so I better put it back before I get in trouble. We also have honors from Washington, D.C. and Sacramento. Our Congresswoman, Anna Eshoo, has proclamations for each recipient, and our Assembly member from Sacramento, Jim Canine, has proclamations for each honoree. Tonight, you will see a videotape on each award winner, and on Monday, May 19th, mark this down, at 5:30, it'll be replayed on the City Channel. And it'll be replayed a few times after that. I want to just acknowledge the really professional video work that was done on this by our City Channel staff, Kellen Yamada and Pete Coglanese. They're in the control room here. They're hiding out. They don't like to be honored, so they're hiding out in the back. But you will see the quality of their work this evening. I also want to acknowledge a couple of people that helped put this evening together. First of all, the coordinator of the entire event, Donna Cray, our Public Information Officer. Donna, over here. And my secretary and Donna's assistant on this project, Laura Newman. Thanks to both of you for making this a great evening. I looked over the people's names on the prior years, and I looked over tonight's honorees, and you know, all communities have all kinds of volunteers and all kinds of leaders. Some are in positions where recognition is more likely. They're seen, they're heard, they're honored. Some people work behind the scenes, and they're less likely to be honored. And the thing that makes me feel the best about the CREST Awards is it honors both kinds of volunteers in our community. And so I'm really pleased to be a part of a city that does this, and it is my pleasure now to turn the evening over to our mayor, John Batista. John?
Thank you, Don. CREST means Cupertino recognizes extra steps taken. And we do that once a year in this method by recognizing in a public forum the efforts of outstanding volunteers in the community. And I believe it's important to do this to reinforce the value that Cupertino places in its volunteers. Volunteerism is an essential element of our quality of life and what makes Cupertino a special place to live and work and to be a member of the community. I am very impressed with the award recipients tonight and would like to thank them for all the time and energy and dedication to the community that exemplifies their work, and we are very proud of these volunteers, and I am very proud to be a part of this community. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Councilmember Michael Chang, who will lead off with the first award recipient. Michael?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to announce the first CREST Award recipient, who is just sitting right behind me, Jean Ahern. Let's watch a little video of Jean.
She's the hostess with the mostest, a real go-getter when it comes to helping out the older adult community. Jean Ahern's personal open-door policy has led to the success of the Senior Center's newly created Host and Hostess program. This program, initiated by Jean, ensures that newcomers to the Senior Center receive a warm smile and a feeling that they are among friends.
I welcome you all for coming. Thanks.
It's just to make people feel at home and not, I guess, antagonized or anything, just so that they're real comfortable coming in here, just like it is home. It has really flourished. And we've done, this last year we did 73 events, and 4,000 people participated in those events. So we have helped, hopefully, those 4,000 people feel more comfortable in coming to the center.
The Cupertino Senior Center's welcome mat has also been put out for evening activities, thanks to Jean's Host and Hostess program.
The center is very, very crowded, and we kind of do things back to back, and we're beginning to expand in the evenings. And we just started the swing band, which has open rehearsal once a month. And we started that with 4 people coming in to attend that. And the month before last, we had 62 come in. And that's purely from the dedication of those hostesses who are, you know, promoting it and making people feel comfortable and getting people to tell other people. And so that was a real success that we've just had recently.
A recent retiree herself, Jean says her sense for volunteerism is inspired by her mother, who was a lifelong volunteer.
She worked with children with reading disabilities. She worked with all the children in the neighborhood. The kids were always coming over, and she was helping them learn to read or do math or whatever. She had been a school teacher way before I was born. And so I saw early on the benefits and the rewards that she got from volunteering. So I think that's where my deep-rooted desire to volunteer came from.
But unlike her mother, whose efforts were focused on the needs of children, Jean's volunteer energies are devoted to the needs of older adults.
A lot of people volunteer with children, but it seems like the older adult community is a bit forgotten and neglected, and I just felt there was a need there, and that's the kind of thing that I wanted to do. And besides that, I enjoy working with them. I think they're great people.
In addition to working at the Senior Center, where she is also an advisory board member, Jean volunteers at El Camino Older Adult Resource Center. She also serves as Vice President Director of Senior Membership for the hospital's auxiliary.
I really love it all. Each thing I do is different, and it's kind of neat to go from one place to the other, and you don't have the constraints of having a job. You can do exactly what you want to do now, and I really enjoy doing that. I can put all my energy into things I really like to do and find value in doing.
Jean Ahern, would you come and join me up here? Let's give her a big round of applause. I was reading through her nominations paper, and it was whole 3 pages, single space, and it was so full of things that one could talk about. But the thing that really jumped to my mind when I was reading it was that at one point it mentioned that she was able to do things that staff was not able to do, that she was, that she was able to generate interest for evening programs, and by getting connected to a lot of hosts and hostesses and reviving evening enthusiasm for evening programs. And so it is fitting for us to honor her, her important role in a very important community institution, which is the Senior Center, which works for our senior adults. Congratulations, Jean. It's a real pleasure to be giving you this award on behalf of our city and our community. Jean. Thank you for all your great, great work. The next recipient that we want to honor is not a person, but an organization. And let me introduce the Asian American Parent Association.
You could say the Asian American Parents Association, or APA, is all about bridge building. APA is not a PTA for Asians. In fact, this misconception has plagued the organization since its inception 6 years ago. APA is a nonprofit coalition, bridging concerned parents and their children with school administrators and other key players within the Cupertino educational system. With the unique challenges, problems, and needs that Asian students face every day, there are many who could potentially fall through the cracks without APA's intervention.
They don't have to be ashamed of their background because their parent doesn't speak perfect English or some of the drawback they think they have in their background. And we try to say, it's okay, where you come from, it's okay. And to have self-esteem in themselves, because it's very difficult. And if you don't have self-esteem in the community that you're going to be contact with, it's going to affect you not only in your career, in your life, in everything you're going to be doing.
APA identifies involvement with new immigrant parents as one of its greatest challenges. The group sees itself as another bridge between these parents and the school districts.
The other aspect, usually for the parents or the students from the Asian background, is they don't express what they think that much because they don't think they can make a difference. So they keep their mouth shut until the problem is too big that it's difficult to handle. So we try to get to the new immigrant group and say it's okay to tell others your problems, to tell your teachers, to tell your principals.
Not only do APA members maintain a highly reliable and productive outreach network to Asian families, they also participate in school and district meetings, and they also promote Asian contributions to the community.
We provide the information, the opportunity for the school administrators to understand those cultural differences so that they are better equipped to educate the children from different backgrounds, to communicate with the parents from different backgrounds.
APA also helps the school districts deal with the ever-increasing need for translation services. Outside the classroom, APA also gets the word out about the group's activities through articles published in several Chinese newspapers. These activities include speech and leadership workshops, seminars on effective communication with children, and information on curriculum changes.
I do see people getting more inspired by us. We have more and more people wanting to know what we are doing right now. Also, we have newsletters and we have articles. We use the Chinese newspaper as our bridge to reach our community, and it has been very successful.
So, building bridges is what APA does best, and its 120 members know that it takes hard work, dedication, and perseverance.
Most of our members are, you can say, treasures, because we are from our society, which we don't have too much volunteerism, but these people are like school site council members and also PTA members, and then it's very rare for them to come out to participate, but they do it. And then they learn from dealing with the schools, like what kind of issue we should help our children with.
A lot of our organization doesn't really benefit only Asian American parents. It benefits the whole community.
Ben Liao, the president of APA, is going to accept this award on behalf of APA. Come on up, Ben, please. Ask Ben to stand there. The TV camera takes a much better picture of him over there. I just want to say that I remember when this group started 6 years ago, and they really showed a lot of courage for issues that were coming up in our community. And I just want to thank them for persevering, for caring, and doing it in a proper way for all our children as well as our community. And I just want to thank APA and all its board members, past and present. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next council members who will give out the next awards. Council member Don Burnett.
Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to lead into the introduction of the third award winner, the Cupertino Hosts Lions Club.
Founded in 1951, even before Cupertino became a city, the Cupertino Hosts Lions Club is now an institution in this town and is part of the world's largest service organization. Every year for the past 20 years, this local organization has donated at least $40,000 to worthwhile area projects, many of which are based right here in Cupertino. One such project is the Gary Bianchini Memorial Wrestling Tournament at Cupertino High School. This event showcases the Lions' culinary talents as they prepare meals for the team and sell food to benefit the school's wrestling program. In fact, the Lions always have something cooking. If it's not the chicken, corn, and sausage feed or a wild game feed, it is probably their favorite event, the annual fish-a-thon and barbecue.
This is our big event, though, right here. Absolutely. This is the biggie. And if we don't do another thing throughout the year, as far as I'm concerned, we have accomplished our goal.
I'm a volunteer teacher for the Lions Blind Center, and I'm driving for the center today. So I brought down 10 folks from our Blind Center, and they're out here fishing along with the rest of the other Lions clubs that bring all their handicapped kids out here. All the clubs participate in it, and most of the kids come in here quite excited about it. Most of them never get a chance to do any, let alone touch a fish, but to actually catch a bunch of them, you know. And everybody around here is just pulling fish out like wildfire, so it's a lot of fun for them.
The idea of spending a nice Saturday morning at a fishing hole takes some planning. The Lions supply practically everything for the day, including the fish. Although this event wouldn't be possible without the support and cooperation of property owner and longtime resident David Voss.
This is one of the most rewarding things that we do, just watching those kids catch a fish and the expression on their face. It's worth it all.
I'm really happy to be here, but I just am thankful that I was able to come out here and fish. It's my first time out here, and I am a singer. Thank you.
We help in the community with community projects, and then events like this that helps or provides social or fun activities for people that can't get out on their own or can't do something, maybe would never have the opportunity to fish.
Watching one of those kids smile or jump up and down when they catch a fish, that makes it all worthwhile. Great. I don't know whether the kids have more fun or whether the lions have more fun, but it's a very good feeling when we go home after we tear down and critique what we did right and wrong, and everybody goes home and collapses for a while.
Devoted and loyal to the Pride, some members go back 25 years. You're just a kid if you've only served 15 years.
I was 1952 it was. I just became principal of our one school, and we had the director. I didn't even know anything about Lionism at all, but this man from Chicago came in and said he was going to start a Lions Club, a service club for our community, and I was interested.
Yeah, we're doing something back to the community. How else can we do it?
We have...
don't forget our motto, Lions, we serve.
We serve.
Accepting the award this evening on behalf of the Cupertino Host Lions Club is its current president, Jim Isaacson. By golly, we've got two. Pete Camardi. Nice to meet you, Pete. Okay, there you are. Thanks very much. You're right on the spot. And I guess the thing that appeals to me is that fishing. It's such an imaginative way to brighten the lives of these kids. It's really a wonderful thing amongst all the good things that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next recipient this evening is Dick Eade.
I got up this morning. That's good. Another day. It's another day, and we're doing fine. We lost a lot of weight, but we still got the rest of us together. So yeah, it's then driving these beautiful people. That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
3 days a week, Dick Eade, or Runner Dick as he's known on the streets, revs up his Ford Taurus station wagon, and he's off and running with other El Camino Hospital volunteers.
We're all volunteers, and what we do is we transport anybody that has to go to anything medical, dentist, doctor's appointments, and it doesn't have to be from the hospital to a doctor. It can be from their home to a doctor's office, but it has to be medically connected.
Dick found a perfect fit as an El Camino Hospital roadrunner, having spent 32 years driving for Pacific Bell. He's also lived in this area for more than 50 years.
Last year, 1996, we made 9,377 runs out of this office, and that equates out to about 35, 36 rides a day. And we have 4 drivers. We have 4 cars and 4 drivers, so that's an average of about 8 rides per driver per day.
In addition to his job as a driver, Dick also installs Communicall boxes for the hospital, which provide a vital link between shut-in residents and the outside world.
They can push the button on this pendant, and they will be in touch with the services who will contact 911, call a loved one, call their doctor, or whomever. Or if they get into a shower, going to take a shower, they can call and say, I'm getting into the shower. I'll call you when I get out of the shower in case they fall in the shower. So it works both ways, for emergency and for just goodwill. You know, if they get lonesome, they can call and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody, and they'll even do that for them.
Dick is all too aware that his riding companions get lonesome too. That's why a self-professed motor mouth becomes a valuable asset when lightening a passenger's load.
It's good therapy for me because I don't like to belabor, but I am a cancer patient. And I always drive people who a lot of times are in worse shape than I am. And so when you're around people who are in worse shape, you're kind of happy to be the way you are. So this gets you upbeat, and you got to be upbeat for some of these people because they're down in the dumps, and you want to do everything you can to cheer them up. You know, make them happy, make a good day for them, have them really have a good day. And they usually they're very receptive to this attitude. They like it. They like it.
Dick would be the first to say that volunteering is a two-way street, with benefits for those who help and for those who are helped.
I think more people should be doing it for their own well-being. I know it's good for me, as I call it, therapy. Too many people my age sit around and say they have nothing to do. Well, a lot of them have a lot of things they could be doing. They don't have to be driving the car. They don't have to be installing Communicol. They can be a volunteer at the hospital. They can be volunteers at the senior centers. So that's why it's very important for people to volunteer, because there's always a job out there for them. Every person can do it, but spend some time volunteering. There's always a job for somebody.
Whatever his destination, Runner Dick is fueled by an unwavering dedication and his belief in the power of these words.
Laugh, I mean laugh, and the world laughs with you, that's for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Eade. Good firm handshake. There you are. I guess one of the things that was not mentioned in the video that I think is particularly impressive for Mr. Eade is that he's overcome considerable of his own personal medical problems, and he's still helping others. So that's really the kind of spirit that makes a great community. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
To introduce our next recipient, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Wally Dean.
This is known as the up close and personal section. Our first recipient is Nancy Harper.
I feel very compelled to stay connected to education. It's very important to me. When our oldest son entered kindergarten, it was very easy to make myself available to do parent volunteer work in the school. I was very comfortable with it, having a teaching background and having been in the classroom. And being a support person, that's a role that's very comfortable for me. So I enjoy it tremendously. I love the hands-on activity. I love working with kids. And so it was just felt right.
A former teacher, Nancy Harper believes kids have greatness within them at every age, and she does everything she can to nurture that greatness through her volunteer work with the Fremont High School's foundation. Established in 1993, with cutbacks in student services on the horizon, the foundation brought together concerned members of the community.
There were several very active concerned community members, concern from the teachers, from the administration, who came together and decided that really a foundation could very well play a very important part in helping create opportunities, create resources and community relationships to make sure that dynamic opportunities and experiences for the students would continue, that they would not be jeopardized.
To match the high caliber of education in Cupertino, the foundation set equally high standards for itself. As one of the most committed board members, Nancy attended special training sessions that taught ideas and techniques for running nonprofits.
I learn constantly, and one of the things that we focus most with this foundation is that the students become lifelong learners. And the name of our dinner event is Partners in Lifelong Learning. And in my experience with the foundation, I'm learning all the time. And to me, that's the best part.
As a matter of fact, for the past 2 years, the Foundation's fundraising dinner, Partners in Lifelong Learning, has ensured that opportunities continue for students in the 5 high school district.
I think it's important that we have key players from our foundation and key players from the corporations respect and understand and appreciate and trust each other, and that we have developing some very wonderful relationships. They understand that the foundation is here for the long term, that we have long-range goals.
Making the presence of the newly formed foundation known in the community was not an easy task for its supporters.
We're young, we're a new foundation, there's only so much we can do, but we keep plugging away, knowing that what we do can make a difference and will make a difference.
A mother of 3 who began as a volunteer in the elementary schools during the early 80s, Nancy is now in charge of a staff of volunteers. And although she spends a tremendous amount of time and energy in her volunteer work, she says her family has always come first. That's why, when asked to make time for the foundation, she had to give it some thought.
It would have been very easy to say no. It was hard to say yes, but it was the right thing to say. And I just felt like, well, I can either sit back and be the kind of person that I really don't like talking with, and that is the person who constantly complains but does nothing about it. So I felt like, well, now's the time. I needed to commit.
I would like to present Mrs. Nancy Harper. Are you ready? Inquiring minds. As part of Cupertino, we look for commitment and volunteerism, and that's a special effort. The comments that relate to Nancy, she has selected education and youth to concentrate on, and she's done an outstanding job. She directed a high-energy, high-technology presentation at the last dinner, but there's more. Inquiring minds want to know what's behind this. She was born and raised in Huntington Beach, an LA girl. She has 3 sons, which you saw in there, 1 Eagle Scout, 3 soccer players, but there's more. Her lifelong ambition was to own a Woody. Surf wagon. The problem was it came with a column shift and not a 4-speed on the floor, so the LA girl migrated on. She had to find something else. We got the dirt. We got the dirt. Yes, we did. Some of her awards that have been singled out: the President's Award from Fremont Union High School Foundation, the PTA Honorary Service Award from Monte Vista High School, the Friends of Education Award from Fremont Union High School Board of Trustees. But there's one that's really even bigger. In her second quest on the fundraising dinner, she was walking down the street and happened to slip off a curb and happened to break her leg. The dinner was coming up. Guilty smile, see? The dinner was coming up, and she didn't want to stop, so she ran home, had the leg put in a cast, continued with the work ethic. That night, she was working at dinner, chopping up onions and celery for the dinner the following night. She didn't cut off her finger, but she came darn close. Had to go to the emergency hospital, so now she had a cast on her leg, and her arm was in a sling. Doing really well. For this feat, she was given the famous national award, the OTM Award, One Tough Mother. From One Tough Mother, I give you the CREST Awards. Our next recipient is Mrs. June Lathrop.
At 82 years young, June Lathrop is a real honey of a motivator, the queen bee of emergency preparedness, that is, for the approximately 400 older adult residents who live within the Forum at Rancho San Antonio retirement community. June was appointed to the Forum's Emergency Task Force back in 1994. She and her task force colleagues have received special training, including Cupertino's own Community Emergency Response Training, or CERT class, and they've shared what they've learned with other residents.
Vince Riley and I have worked together to organize the residents here, and we have had simply tremendous cooperation from the staff. And I must say from the residents too, because it's their responsibility to help us keep them safe. And so they have learned the rules. They know to have food on hand, water on hand, prescription drugs, and we keep telling them that we must be self-sufficient for 3 days. We have 16 doctors here, and the doctors are organized. And in an emergency, we each have our own job we are to do. And if an emergency occurs during staff working hours, we are okay.
A large complex filled with older adults can present quite a challenge when it comes to keeping everybody safe.
If an emergency occurs, for instance, during the dinner hour, when we have 150 people in the dining room, we're going to have to think about getting those people out of the dining room to safety. And so we have asked that the staff members know their way through the buildings. This is a bigger job than you think. It isn't a matter of going up or down 3 or 4 flights of stairs. We're built into a hillside. We have 5 buildings, and each building is no higher than 3 stories.
She works 6 days a week on emergency preparedness and sees to it that the storage rooms are stocked with lanterns and other supplies. Nor has she forgotten the importance of human contact.
We have emergency coordinators on each floor, and they will check with the residents to be sure that everyone is all right. And just to keep their spirits up is another thing.
June's years of volunteerism span decades, mostly in the peninsula area, where she and her husband Dick lived until moving to Cupertino 6 years ago.
We have loved it. We have never looked back, and we both are enjoying it immensely. The people are delightful. There is always something to do, and we are most enthusiastic supporters of the Forum. And so at the present time, I'm working 6 days a week on emergency preparedness, and every Monday all day I'm over at our health unit in both assisted living and in skilled nursing. My years of volunteer service have been a labor of love, and I must say that I have loved it. It has all been very rewarding.
I'd like to present June Lathrop. Trust me. We did some research. You brought the delegation in from the forum. Nice job. This is the Queen Bee of Emergency Services. That's her nickname. She is responsible for 400 seniors at the forum and getting the signs posted, the equipment set up, and the drills organized. She's the only person when the CREST press release went out that stated her age, and it was stated incorrectly. It was stated at 80, and she's really 82, and that kind of, she's going, why are they picking on me for my age? Not fair. She looks maybe 32. She loves parties. Since she's had the disaster preparedness drills, she's come up with several unique strategies. Earthquake prevention at the forum. Why would you have to leave? Everything's great here. In case of a disaster, find the biggest floor with the biggest party, pouring the most wine. That's where she's going. These are critical. She has started her emergency services preparedness in her early stages being a bridal maid, church service, wedding reception, where people forgot to bring the rings. She happened to find her ring and loan it to the groom in case of emergency. This was emergency preparedness. In the photo op that you saw there, she was in the yellow vest. It was a photo op. Marie Moore will testify to this. She hates yellow. Yellow, from her words, not her color. They offered her a blue, and she refused. She took it in stride. Excellent job. The summary that I think we would sum up June's creativity, her warmth, is a quote: her warmth, her wonderful smile, her genuine caring for others, all are part of her charm. I give you June Lathrop. Now I'd like to introduce, in her 8th year, one of the most exciting and vivacious council members I've ever served with, Lauralee Boom Boom Sorensen.
I never know what he's going to do, believe me. It is indeed my honor to present the next 2 awards. I'm very fortunate in that I happen to know both of these women, and I was delighted when I saw that I was going to get to do the honors. The first one is Nicol Lee.
Sometimes you need a spark plug.
There are many people in Cupertino who would say that Nicol Lee is the spark plug behind the city's comeback 4th of July fireworks celebration. This popular event, discontinued in 1992 because of budget shortfalls, was reinstated last year, largely because Nicol and other community activists initiated a campaign to raise the money for its rebirth.
We were hearing a lot of comments from the citizens that they really wanted a 4th of July. People think it's only a 20-minute show and that's it, but in reality it takes months of planning and it takes lots of expertise to put on a big show. We needed the cooperation of De Anza College because we basically had outgrown Memorial Park.
Bringing back the fireworks and celebration took a grassroots effort with many different community groups involved. And Nicol's leadership skills, honed over many years of volunteerism, were put to use in pulling everyone together.
Part of the learning experiences is that there are so many different people in our community. We all have different skills. We all have different ways of communicating. And part of a good leader, in my opinion, is somebody that could see the potential, sort of massage them, take the gruffs and the heartaches and sort of gloss over them and then be able to deliver a package that it's a win-win situation for everyone. And I think the 4th of July is one of them.
Under Nicol's direction, the 4th of July Committee raised $33,000 last year for the event, enough to match the city's contribution and to ensure that a celebration would take place again this year. Nicol believes in moving on after a goal has been reached. She says once the 4th of July celebration has been assured a place in Cupertino tradition, she'll look for other challenges.
I think that I'm a person that always likes to be active. And because of that, I'm always on the go. And I see a lot of things. I see a lot of potential where all you need to do is connect a few people and it will blossom. It will carry itself.
Connecting with people is one of Nicol's many talents. Her community involvement spans many organizations, including the Chamber of Commerce, Inner Wheel, Cupertino Educational Endowment Foundation, Cupertino Historical Society, League of Women Voters, and the Cupertino Quota Club, an organization that is very dear to her heart. For the first time in its history, the Quota Club elected the same president for 2 consecutive years, and that president is Nicol. One of the things Nicol likes best about Cupertino is its ability to recognize and appreciate the wide range of cultural differences found in the city.
I think there are many, many avenues, and there are many, many groups of citizens who care very, very deeply about the makeup of our community. And we are all working very, very hard in our own way of bridging those communication channels so that we can communicate, bring those issues up to the table, resolve them, and as a result, build a stronger community. Because after all, we're all residents of our community. We all want it to be a great place for our children, for our seniors, for our long-term residents, for the new immigrants, businesses, schools, the churches. That's what makes our city unique here.
Thank you.
May I present Nicol Lee. Nicol, you need to know we never know what's going to be on the video. We see it for the first time with you. I was thinking about Nicol for the last several days, and I want to use some words to describe her, that for me describe her. She's an idea person. You never know what the ideas are going to be, and you just have to hang on and hope that you can keep up with her. She put together a service club barbecue, and at that barbecue gave out the challenge of the 4th of July, which was highly successful last year and is being prepared again this year. My second word for you is a doer. You do things. She arranged for the food for the Cupertino Historical Society for their latest opening here. And I understand that you were in the kitchen directing everything that was going on and how it should be done and getting the food out on time. That, to me, exemplifies what you would do. You're a volunteer, Nicol. You're always there, and you're always thinking about what needs to be done. And finally, you care. You care immensely about the people around you, and you're there for them. And you don't forget. She never forgets if somebody's having a problem. You're a wonderful person, and you well deserve this award.
This is for the Chinese newspaper. Thank you.
The lights up here are really bright, and when you step off the stage, you have to be careful. Our next nominee is Kathy Nellis.
Just as actors need a backstage crew to help them put on a play, so also does a community need those who work out of the limelight, planning the endless details of an event before it makes its public debut. Kathy Nellis is that sort of person.
I much prefer behind the scenes. It's much more comfortable for me. I like being able to pick the projects that I get involved in. And there's so many different ways that you can get involved in this community, and it's very satisfying.
Kathy has been picking her projects in Cupertino for 30 years. She is a dedicated volunteer who gives her all to such organizations as the Cupertino Rotary Club and the Cupertino Historical Society. And even though she keeps to the background, those who know her have no trouble seeing her hand in the success of many events sponsored by these two groups. For the Rotary Club last year, Kathy coordinated a successful luncheon that focused on emergency preparedness for local businesses.
Well, that's one good thing about Rotary. It does allow you to be creative and use your particular skills, and I happen to be the chairman of the Community Service Committee that year. And I've had an interest over time in emergency preparedness, and I thought there might be some program that Rotary could do in the community that would lead to further preparedness in our community.
Kathy has always felt strongly about the need to instill in the community a sense of history. For that reason, she continues to devote countless volunteer hours to the Historical Society as a member of the Board of Directors.
I guess I believe that by preserving our history and remembering our history, it's just natural to me that we would want to do that. There's something about honoring the past that I think is very important.
Not only does Kathy preserve the history of the city, she also makes it. She was the first woman to serve on the city's planning commission, and she became Cupertino's first woman council member. During her term as councilwoman in the mid-70s, she was instrumental in securing Rancho San Antonio County Park as open space.
Well, I guess that's what's so exciting about being involved in something like the City Council, that you can make a difference. At that time, there had been a county measure passed, which was to set money aside for the purchase of parklands in the county of Santa Clara. And my thoughts went to San Antonio Park, or what was then the diocese property, because it was so centrally located on the border of many cities, and it was so easily accessible. And I went to Jerry Steinberg, who was our supervisor in the 5th District at that time, and we talked about the idea, and she carried it forward before the board. And it's just a real thrill to see that the park is so heavily used.
Also during her term, the Memorial Park gazebo was built. Years later, when the gazebo needed refurbishing, Kathy returned, this time as a Rotarian to help get the job done.
The gazebo is very significant in terms of its history, because there was a home, Enoch's Parish House, at the corner of the Memorial Park site where the Senior Center is. The gingerbread that's in that gazebo is from that parish house. And so that is a part of our history, that is a part of the Memorial Park. And it was a fun project to work on, both because it was part of my particular history being on the City Council, it's part of the community's history, and the way the Rotarians just responded. We put plants, we repainted the gazebo. It was just a fun thing to be involved in.
With her quiet determination, Kathy continues to work behind the scenes for the community's benefit. She might be chairing the Kinderplatz at Rotary's Oktoberfest or setting up a banquet for the Historical Museum, but she's always there, calmly and thoroughly tackling any job that needs to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Nellis. Told us to do that. When I read over Kathy's resume that was presented, I had to pick out some words that were important to me. The first one was she's a role model. Kathy was the first councilwoman in Cupertino, and I think she set the tone for all of the rest of us who have followed her, and there have been a total of 4 now. Secondly, Kathy, you're a doer, and I noticed that you were in the kitchen too. I didn't realize that you were. Kathy headed the Cupertino Drug Abuse Council, and as such, she learned a lot about alcohol and other drugs and raised awareness in Rotary, which I really appreciated because that's a favorite area of mine. She's on the board of directors of the Cupertino Historical Society, and she chaired the Field of Dreams exhibit and luncheon a year ago. I think she's a frustrated painter because she was painting the gazebo, but she also helped paint the room over at Cupertino High School that houses the Teens for Tots program. And above all, she's involved in emergency preparedness. Kathy's a volunteer. That was another key word for me. She sees the need, and then she finds a way to solve that very need. And finally, Kathy, you care. Above all, you care about the citizens of Cupertino, and you're always there for them. Thank you. And now for the final presentations, I present Mayor John Batista.
Thank you, Laura Lee. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Darryl Stow.
As I was getting close to retirement age, I used to say to myself, gee, I don't have any hobbies. Well, what am I going to do when I retire? And it suddenly dawned on me that volunteerism is my hobby. And it was a wonderful transition because I just have more time now to work on those things than I did when I was working. So it's really an extension of what I did before I retired and an expansion of it. And so it's a great transition.
If volunteerism is indeed a hobby of Darryl Stow, then it's one that seems to occupy most of his waking hours. He started this hobby more than 30 years ago in Cupertino as a Little League umpire. Today, he's active in the Cupertino Educational Endowment Foundation, the YMCA, and the Rotary Club, to name a few groups. Last year, he chaired the elementary school district's most successful fundraising gala to date, and in typical Darryl Stow fashion, he downplays his crucial role in that event.
To me, it's essentially just trying to direct people's energies that are very committed to the project, to the cause, who know what they're doing, they've done it before, and just kind of set some parameters and do a little guiding of people to make sure we're all on the same page and we haven't forgotten anything, and they do all the work and the job gets done.
Darryl has been on the CEF board for 3 years, and this year is in charge of its new contributions committee. He'll also be chair of the Northwest YMCA Board of Managers, and if that's not enough, has been tapped by the Cupertino Rotary Club as its president.
Yes, that was poor timing, but they all happened to come together at the same time, so I'm going to do both. But the Rotary is a real challenge. It's a lot of effort to keep it coordinated and keep members happy and working toward a common goal. Our motto is service above self, and that pretty well capsulizes what Rotary is all about. We raise money through various projects, in our case a golf tournament and an Oktoberfest, and that helps us to provide funds that go back in the community in various community programs like senior programs and youth programs.
Throughout his many years as a volunteer, Darryl has displayed a special knack for fundraising. And that's one quality that local charitable organizations can really appreciate.
You have to work at it. You have to ask people for the money. You have to believe in what you're doing. It's not apologetic. You're giving them an opportunity to participate in something important. And most people that at least are willing to share their money to a good cause will listen to that appeal, and if they feel it's worthwhile, they will support it. But so mainly, I don't think it's great talent. It's just being persistent and continuing to ask for what you believe in.
In 1995, he chaired the Y's Current Support campaign and brought in about $90,000 for the agency that year. Now he's looking forward to future fundraising opportunities for the YMCA.
We hope to raise $1.2 million to build a swimming pool, expand our teen center, and other augments to the Y program that will make it truly a community asset, even greater community asset, and something that will bring families together, and hopefully something that young people can enjoy and be safe and off the streets.
Darryl has seen many changes in Cupertino since he first started working on his long-term hobby here. But in the 31 years that he and his wife and family have lived in Cupertino, he says some things remain the same.
What hasn't changed, I believe, is the spirit of community here. It still has a certain small town environment in spite of the world-class businesses that are here. And I think that's very nice.
Darryl, will you please join me up here? Darryl, it's with tremendous pleasure that I present this award to you. You are a tremendous asset to the community, and it seems to me over the last several years when we've gotten to know each other, virtually every community event you're involved with in some way or another, and you're a tremendous support. And not only for the things you've done, you're also president of the Rotary Club this year and the YMCA at the same time, and I'm not sure how you find the time to do both, but also for the person you are. Darryl is, in my mind, the consummate gentleman, ethical, high integrity, but also good-humored, a supportive, modest, and active community volunteer, friendly, optimistic, and always smiling. And I think that's one thing that stands out in my mind. And furthermore, I think your best attribute is that you're married to the lovely Darryl Stow, to the lovely Dorothy Stow, who we will be presenting next as the other half of the dynamic duo. But it's with great pleasure, Darryl, that I present this award to you. I'd like to present the other half of the dynamic duo, Dorothy Stow.
When Dorothy Stow assumed her new duties as president of the Cupertino Community Services Board this year, you can bank on the fact that there was one thing she didn't miss.
It seems like every organization that I come into, I'm suddenly the treasurer. It's nice to be able to do something else. I have been treasurer of Cupertino Community Services. I am now treasurer of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm now treasurer of the Library Foundation. So yes, it's they seem to think that's the only thing you can do. But it's kind of fun to be able to do something else, let somebody else count the money.
As the retired owner of her own tax service business, Dorothy has always given freely of her financial know-how to local nonprofit organizations. And that's a gift that has paid off for everyone.
We were told to move here 31 years ago because of the schools. And when we moved in, we were looking for the schools, and we were pleasantly surprised to find out that the people were great too. And I find that in the organizations that we're involved in, people help people. If you're involved in one nonprofit organization, when you have your fundraiser, everybody else pitches in and helps you, and then you turn around and help them when it's their turn. Cupertino is a great community, and I would like to see other people get involved.
Dorothy began her own involvement as a volunteer at the age of 29 when she found herself serving as a PTA president in the Sacramento area. She's been at it ever since for CCS, the Library Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Cupertino Inner Wheel Club. As president of the Inner Wheel for the past 2 years, Dorothy takes great pride in the contributions the club has made to the Mayo Electric Limb Bank at Stanford.
Inner Wheel is the spouses group of Rotary, and we have our own charities. Our big one is the Mayo Electric Limb Bank. Cupertino, up until this year, our Inner Wheel Club has had donated more to that foundation than any other organization in the United States. The money goes to help the children with these myoelectric limbs. They recycle the limbs as the children outgrow them, and that way more children can have the access to these the limbs that look more natural. It does make me feel very good too. And sometimes I actually feel like I'm being selfish because I'm doing it because I get so much pleasure out of it, and then I have to stop and think that other people are getting something too. I guess maybe at this point in my life, suddenly after all these years, I'm suddenly getting a little more confidence in myself. That finding that I can make a difference, and finding that as an individual can make a difference in the community. It doesn't take an entire group, but it helps, and the group works well together. But each individual does make a difference.
She also believes that the attitudes of enthusiastic longtime Cupertino residents can go a long way in inspiring new community volunteers.
Well, I think I believe in what I do, and I believe in the charity that I'm participating in, and I think that is sort of infectious, and people here see my feelings, and they want to get enthused also. I do believe in the organizations, and we have some great ones in Cupertino.
An unabashed Cupertino booster, Dorothy never misses an opportunity to sing the city's praises, whether she's pouring wine at a chamber summer festival, delivering food to a CCS rotating shelter, or counting the library's money.
I just can't say enough about Cupertino. I think it's a city different from other cities. When you talk to people in other cities about the type of people, the sharing that the people do in Cupertino, they just don't understand what it's like to the camaraderie that we have here. It's special.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dorothy Stow. Dorothy, I want to thank you for your longtime support of the Cupertino Library Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce and the Inner Wheel Service Club and Cupertino Community Services. I think you are a dedicated volunteer to the community and have always been there for the community. And I think that you're also to be acknowledged for your good cash management skills. And if we want to know where the money is, all we have to do is ask Dorothy. One other fact that I was reading about that I thought was interesting was that you had a tax preparation service for 25 years that you finally retired from this past year, I guess in 1995. And you remarked that every year you felt you were giving 3.5 months of your life to this service, and now you had 3.5 months more every year. And I hope that you will spend some of that time relaxing, and because you have certainly been of tremendous devotion to the city, and it's indeed a great pleasure to present this award to you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the city staff and council for putting on and presenting this CREST Awards ceremony this year. I'd also like to thank the family and friends of each of the award recipients for attending and supporting those tonight. And finally, I'd like to thank those volunteers and award recipients for their dedication that they brought to this community and for sharing with us tonight their labor of love that they have engaged in this community. You are so important to us, you are so important to our community, and you are so appreciated. Thank you very much. I'd like to, pardon me? What I'd like to do is, there's one more video wrapping up everyone's achievements, and then ask you to join us in the lobby for a quick refreshments and reception. Thank you.
Here once again are your 1997 CREST recipients. Dorothy Stow. Darryl Stow. Nellis. Nicol. Lathrop. Nancy Harper. Eade. Cupertino hosts Lions Club. Asian American Parents Association. And Ahern. Thank you for your outstanding volunteer work in our community.
Round warm of applause for our recipients. Thanks again, and again, I'll invite everyone to the lobby for a quick reception.